Does it work? So I say it more just to say same voice. Yes, I think that will be my voice. I think this guy will.
And we are live. Nice. Good. Thank you for being here. Hopefully this will be cool. We have Yegor. He will be taking over shortly. I just want to say a couple of things and hopefully set the scene pretty good. So we are doing this in, let's say, collaboration with global AI community. It's a thing getting back together after the pandemic. So we will actually show a video. So it will take 10 minutes. So maybe if you want to sit, it's okay. I should have prepared you for it. Sorry. We have a loose agenda. It's a very laid-back one. We will listen to Yegor. We will eat. We will discuss. And then we will see what happens afterwards. Just short about the meetup, Azure Skåne. We are currently over 975 members. It's all about learning, networking, having fun, learning new stuff, preferably about Azure, but in general, it's just about evolving. The crew, it's B, Johan, and Magnus. We try to get stuff going at least once a month. So since people are online and we have been through the pandemic, it's probably not over, but we did a lot of stuff online, so I had to do a short presentation about Azure Skåne. And as you can see, it's here in the southern part of Sweden. And just to give some quick stuff that we are famous for, Skåne, we have a really cool building, Turning Torso. We have an even cooler bridge that goes underwater, connects us to Denmark. We have the world's best soccer player. He's getting really old, but still produces goals. We have a team that's actually in the Champions League at the moment. Not Champions. Yes, it is Champions League. So they're doing really well. Absolute Vodka is produced in Skåne. So props to that. We have a Azure data center there. Now it's correct with the logo and stuff. It's gonna be open really soon, I guess, and hopefully we have an event going on at the same time. I don't promise anything, but hopefully we have. And here's a request: if you do anything on social media, please use these hashtags. The ones that have been here before see that we added a new one, and that's actually for the whole global AI community stuff. Currently, this is running in 40 countries today, tomorrow, and the day after that. And we want to thank our sponsors, Foo Café and Capiche. You want to say a couple of words?
Hi, very welcome. There are three reasons that Capiche is here tonight. First of all, we think you deserve pizza and some beer, so we sponsor that. But the most important thing with Foo Café is that we want to have a community that's alive and kicking here in Malmö. AzureDev and other events, they come annually. But Foo Café is very special because it's weekly. It can be big events, it can be small events, but it's very important for us to keep it going. And also, I'm personally interested in machine learning. So it's going to be really fun to see you today at stage. And the stage is yours. Oh,
No, it's not. Sorry. I'm not gonna let the stage so easily. um, this is something that we usually get digital badges. So if you have your phones and the people online, you can use this QR code and claim your non-fungible token. It's a unique one. So we will also put these links in our meetup group because the YouTube stream doesn't let us post links. So it will be in our meetup group. We will have, under this event, we will have all the links there. Yeah, hopefully you claim them. We will come back to it. So since this is a global AI event, global AI community event, there are some other cool stuff. So if you go to this link here, globalai.community.checkin, they will also mention this in the video I will play shortly. You will get the option to request some swags. You enter your email address, you get a reply mail, you verify that you're there, and then you can put in your address where you want the swag to be sent. And you're gonna be part of winning some big swag boxes if you're checking in. It's also the case that we have 2 workshops that are present in this global AI community link here. These are also links that will be in the meetup and that we will have in our Discord. I will show that shortly. And for the people that don't have Azure access, we can hand out Azure passes. We have 15 of them, so first come, first serve. It's also on the same check-in link here. You use the code 9056 if you need it. And again, go to the meetup shortly. We will post all the links there. Yes, so this is how it looks like if you're gonna check in and request the swag and the passes. And don't worry, we will be able to look back at it after Yegor has had his presentation. And another link. Please join this Discord. This is something that we put together during the pandemic. We felt like we got really disconnected from everyone. So here we actually have a lot of discussions. I post a lot of good things that I find useful in my day-to-day work, and so are other people doing. There's a bunch of stuff, and hopefully this works now. I will demo our Discord setup. So here it is, our Azure user group. When you join, there's a small welcome message. Please click this one. It will open everything for you. So then you will have all of this stuff here. There's announcements. We try to do some announcements from time to time. There's videos gets posted here that are really good to look at, like Azure Friday and stuff like that. So you don't have to browse the web to find this. You can just go here and get whatever you need. For example, Azure updates. Today they have general availability of Azure Monitor Query SDK, for example. That's really good to know. And they have increased the return of invest for business impact with Azure Machine Learning. How convenient. So yeah, you get a lot of information in this one. And we talked about the links. Those are also posted here already. And the workshops, I'm gonna click on this one and you can see these are the workshops. We have 2 workshops that you can go through, and you just do them step by step. And if you need any help, you can just pop back into the Discord and post the questions there. Hopefully people will join and answer those. I will do my best, at least. Yes, so, and with that I say let's get started. So we're gonna watch this video here. And hopefully the sound will go out. I didn't get a okay, but let's assume it does.
Welcome to Global AI Back Together. We're very glad to see you all again. My name is Sami, I'm a Microsoft AI MVP located in Belgium.
And my name is Sjoukje, I'm an RD and an Azure MVP from the Netherlands. The last couple of months, we as a global AI community have worked hard to put this event together, creating content and updating our website. We are very happy to be back together again, in person and virtually, to upgrade your skill sets, socialize and have a good time. And most important, learning together about AI.
After the last 1.5 years, we've noticed that the world is finally start opening up again, bit by bit. This also means that some parts of the world have the privilege to organize in-person events. And we know that many of you have missed the social contact with like-minded people. Unfortunately, not everyone is able to join in-person events yet, and some of you rather prefer to attend all events virtually.
We are sure that all organizers have prepared some amazing content for you tonight. You can now check into the event by going to globalai.community/check-in. Once you have done that, we will send you some awesome Global AI community swag. There you can also request Azure passes for the workshops. And if you share from where you are attending this event on social media, including the hashtag Global AI Community, you will have the chance of winning some more swag in an even bigger swag box. We now have a quick message from our friends at Microsoft.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Welcome to the Global AI Community Conference, where we're here to help empower and connect AI communities all around the world. I'm so excited to be here today to witness all the amazing things you're going to learn all around the world, all about machine learning and artificial intelligence. My name's Jen Looper. I'm a Cloud Advocate Lead on the Next Generation Experiences team at Microsoft. My job is to help students and educators learn all about different technologies, and our specialty on my part of the team is all about machine learning and artificial intelligence. So I want to just take a few moments to welcome you again to the conference and to let you know about some amazing new curricula that we just released special for you, all about machine learning and data science. Let's take a look. If you make your way over to aka.ms/ml-beginners, you'll find your way to an amazing curriculum, completely free, open source, MIT licensed, all about machine learning. And this is classic machine learning. These are topics such as regression and classification and all sorts of clustering algorithms that you need to know to get started in machine learning. It's all using the scikit-learn library, and our curriculum always has a lot of little details that will get you excited about the topic. Let's take a look at, for example, the history of machine learning lesson. In our curricula, which again is all open sourced on GitHub and free to use, you can take a look at a sketch note about machine learning and get an idea about its history. We also start with a pre-lecture quiz that looks like this, and you can just take a low-stakes quiz to kind of warm up your brain and get ready to learn about machine learning. So this lesson has a lot of details about the history of machine learning, and it has little call-outs all the way through to help you kind of think a little bit more deeply about the topic in question. And it walks you through a really interesting experience all about the history, talks about Shaky and Eliza and the AI winter and then the AI chill, and then the explosion of machine learning and algorithms nowadays that has created this new kind of renaissance of AI and machine learning. We end all of our lessons with a challenge, with a post-lecture quiz, and a review and self-study where you might find an interesting video. This one features Amy, who's actually helped write the lesson. And then it ends with an assignment. And if you're using this in a classroom, you can go ahead and use the assignment to deepen your learning. So this machine learning curriculum has 12 weeks, a 12 weeks workflow, 25 lessons, 50 quizzes, and is all about a cool way to approach machine learning, which is actually via regional data sets. So what we've offered is around the world with classic machine learning. So you learn the basic concepts, some techniques, get your machine all set up for machine learning with scikit-learn, and then it jumps right into regression. But it takes a regional topic and explores it in like a series of about 4 lessons. We've had community contributions all around this content, including really interesting contributions for R as well as Python. You'll explore North American pumpkin prices. You'll build a web app using a dataset all about UFOs. You'll learn about classification using a dataset about Indian and Asian cuisines. You'll explore Nigerian musical tastes and learn about clustering at the same time. Then we tackle NLP, natural language processing, an absolutely exploding field with a lot of amazing lessons all about NLP, using data sets around hotel reviews in Europe. Then we travel to India, where you take a look at time series forecasting. Then we go to Russia for reinforcement learning, and we're joined by Dmitry, and we learn about Peter and the wolf and how we can train an environment so that Peter can avoid the wolf using reinforcement learning. And we end up with a little postscript lesson all about machine learning in the wild. So how is machine learning used nowadays? And you'll discover all about the ways different companies use machine learning in real life, in the wild. I hope you enjoyed this free curriculum, but wait, there's more. We also just released a new curriculum all about data science for beginners. So maybe before tackling that machine learning curriculum, you want to tackle data science. So here we have another amazing set of lessons. Here we have 20 lessons that cover 10 weeks of learning, all for free, all on GitHub. So you can take a look at, we have topics all around data science ethics. What is data? How to define data? There's a fabulous introduction to statistics and probability. You can work with relational data, non-relational data, get used to working with Python for data science, prepare your data, and then tackle data visualization to create really amazing experiences for your users as you explore and discover the quirks of the data that you're using. There's a lesson about an introduction to the data science lifecycle and how you analyze and communicate your findings. And we finish up with a few lessons on data science in the cloud. So we take a look at how you might use data science in Azure. So for this conference, I think you might be particularly interested in these lessons. And once again, we finish up with data science in the wild. So real world applications of data science. So I want to just share these 2 curricula, which will allow you to have many weeks of learning, all about machine learning, classic machine learning, and data science. Coming soon, we're going to be offering a full curriculum on artificial intelligence, on AI. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be releasing that pretty soon on GitHub as well. Always free and always ready for anyone who's interested in learning topics and deepening their understanding of these amazing subjects. I hope you have a fantastic conference, and I wish you all the best in your learning journey. Thanks, and see you soon.
Now, we hope that you will enjoy this event today. And please remember to check in using the URL on the screen, and of course share how and where you are participating from on social media. In case this short evening event was not enough for you, please stay tuned for the Global AI Bootcamp in January 2022.
Hey, my name's Apansha Malik and I'm from Melbourne.
Dixon Somi in Belgium.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hey, Nathan Tess. I come from Spain.
I'm Prasant from California.
大家好，我是卢建辉，英文版Nederlands.
I'm Alpha Tessie from Australia.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Marsman from the United States.
Hi, I'm Arpita Gupta from India.
Hi,
I'm Matthew Renton from the USA.
I'm Josh Fizak from California.
Hi, Medin Edi Daoud, Greece, Africana.
Hi, I'm Anna Kamana.
Merhaba, ben Türkiye'den Daron Yönden.
Hi there.
Hi.
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 There. Hopefully that gave you something. All the links we will post in the meetup section of the discussion because YouTube doesn't allow us to post links. Now it's you, Yegor.
Which and you and vodka. So yes, but I will try. So just please give me several seconds to prepare. Okay. Windows B extend. We'll extend this. I can go here. View. Present. So, can we double check that it's okay? Yep. Thank you for having me here today, and thanks again to all sponsors and Michael. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I especially glad to be here after 2 years of restrictions. I really hope that we will meet us very often from now. My name is Yegor, and I would like to share with you my story and story of some people from this room today, how we run MLOps in production, and story will start from the origins, what was before we were on production. Have you heard of Language Wire? This Danish company? No? Okay. I work for Language Wire, and its journey started 20 years ago. Its journey started in language service providers market. We work with natural linguists and with different languages. You can imagine very roughly Uber for linguists. There are a lot of people certified with skills who know a lot of languages on one side. On another side, you have global companies all over the world with different locations, and they have internal documents to translate. They have advertising companies to promote all over the globe, and we are in the middle helping both sides to success. It started without any kind of machine learning, but you can imagine after years and years of work on the market, we gathered a lot of data. And it was a huge opportunity for us to start thinking about machine learning, and this journey with MLOps started 2 years ago with an idea to start implementing some computing power as a part of our business. No, I cannot. Hang on. Yes. Just to give you some context about this meeting today, this is scope of a cloud of terms that I will talk about. Natural language processing. This is part of artificial intelligence science. We work closely, so you will not hear from me about OCR or image recognitions or other parts of artificial intelligence. So on daily basis, we work with text. We work with Python. This is our main language for development. That said, you will not hear nothing about R today, and Terraform, because I work as site reliability engineer, and all my history was taken from perspective from point of view of operations. That means that you will not hear from me fancy news about regression, algorithm, and other machine learning engineering specifics. But if you have such questions, I have lady today here, and after my talk, you can ask her. She knows a lot. Those tools we use as part of our MLOps in production: Airflow, Azure DevOps Services, Azure Machine Learning Studio, or just ML, and its part as integration with MLflow open source solution. And again, because I work as site reliability engineer, my daily routine is very, very close related to Kubernetes, Kida, and Istio. Kida is also a Microsoft product that was outsourced, and I will mention about that as well. Have you heard of those tools before? Why are they needed? Why are they used? Okay, so we started 2 years ago with an idea to prepare pre-translations for our vendors to help them in translation. We had a lot of data, and we decided to develop machine learning models to provide people not with the original text, but with the text and pre-translation. You can imagine very internal Google Translate with specific with the data that we got from our customers and that we baked to our customers. Also, idea was to keep this data secure and don't use any public applications for this flow. So it was totally privately developed, and it was developed from scratch. So our idea was to start from scratch and develop something complex. Complex, I mean something big with a lot of relations between each other. Have you heard of Martin Fowler? Yes. So this is his picture. His article on ThoughtWorks official website is called CD for ML, Continuous Delivery for Machine Learning. And I took that slide from his article just to show you how people see ML operations and continuous delivery in the modern world of artificial intelligence. The main difference here you can compare with generic software development lifecycle. You can see that it is not just building, deployment, and observability. We have some other blocks here, and they add complexity. You can imagine you all work with general software development lifecycle with basic deployments, and you know the problems with integration, with testing, with pre-production environment. Let's imagine you add here training, validation, and some extra steps that take place in machine learning as a part of software development lifecycle. This is visualized implementation of my understanding of complex system. A lot of layers, a lot of blocks in the flow, and some relationship between them. And I like very much this quote, very old book, still very valid for me. the theory says that you cannot build complex systems from scratch from the beginning and they will work for you. So you either start with something simple and then evaluate, otherwise you will fail. So keeping this in mind, we started thinking about idea that we cannot implement in all stages from the beginning in parallel, because a lot of things are related and you cannot be successful based on very old statement but very still very fresh idea. So we started with very simple, what we knew for sure and where we had the most experience with. What do you think? Which block we picked up? No, from the pink one, so it's purple, from the purple one. Where we started. Almost, yep. Very close. So we started with deployment. Why so? Because we understood very well how to deploy machine learning models. We had some questions about how to train, how to track experiment, how to evaluate quality of our models, and business required from us some actions and some real implementation. When I joined LanguageWire, people already had deployment pipeline. It was built in on-premise TFS server, and that's all. When I joined that, I thought that I would be part of all those fancy buzzwords that you recently have seen in the presentation: regression, bias theory, and a lot of fancy stuff. But reality was, say, okay, you're a SRE? Yes, I'm a SRE. We have Docker image, we need it pushed to production. That's all. So for me, from the beginning, it was black box. So they people provide you with an artifact and you ship it. Frankly speaking, it was like a bit frustrating for several minutes, but after that I understood that that will help me to cope with building complex system, because the first step at least I know how to do, and we started with very known field of software development lifecycle. So we moved to Kubernetes. When I joined, there was standalone server on-prem, nothing about scaling and nothing about clouds. First step, what we did, we moved it to the Azure, to the clouds, and that was our first small success. From the continuous delivery process, it was nothing special, just another Docker image to deploy and monitor. And we worked for a month or two with that, and we decided to move further. By that time, all our experiments were run on one server on-prem. It was staying in our room, and it was not fancy because we had some concurrency across developers. We didn't understand how to scale it, or if we had very big model to train, it took ages. Literally, like we were waiting weeks until get some results. The second painful part was tracking experiment, because data scientists, they were far away from modern technologies by that time, and they just track everything in Excel. So good tool for ages. You keep all your results about all your trainings in Google local Excel, and it works. We start comparing tools to track our experiments, and we never were keen on being provider dependent. So now we have a lot of dependencies on Microsoft. Almost all our infrastructure and project in LanguageWire is hosted in Azure, but we always were open for any good tools across all clouds. So we decided to compare MLflow, Apache Submarine, Azure ML Studio, and Google AI Platform. And you remember from the second slide that we developed in Python, and that's PyTorch was our main requirement for the tool. And we also would like to have a managed service because we didn't have, and now we don't have a lot of human resources to support our own platforms. So we spent several days to compare, and from the first glance, Apache Submarine was very promising, but all of them had some problems, and we decided to start with something very simple, and it was MLflow. We deployed it to our own cluster, and we start tracking our experiments there. Very, very lightful and powerful tool, I would say. It presents 4 basic steps in experiment tracking, and so you can track experiments themselves, you can track projects, you can save your models, you can say this is your artifacts, and registry for them. That solved our biggest problem, but by the time we get rid of any spreadsheets and we have one unified place to track all our experiments, but we still had a problem with scaling our experiment clusters. It was very hard to find resources, especially with GPUs, and we came back to comparison and we start using Azure Machine Learning Studio. Why that? By the way, this is all you need to start your own MLflow server. It's extremely simple and extremely powerful. The only limitation that comes to my mind, it doesn't have authentication. So it's open, but in Kubernetes world, it is not a problem. You can just run sidecar with Nginx or any other server, and here you are, you will have authentication. Besides that, very nice tool. What we were lacking, it was computing power and clouds, because it was run locally. And when we started exploring Azure Machine Learning Studio, we were surprised. They were really caring about community. They were not selling anything about vendor locking, about Azure. They just came up with decision. If you like MLflow, you will use MLflow. That said, Microsoft developed Roper, their own SDK that mimics MLflow. That means that for you as a user, you can switch back and forth very, very easily with the minimum changes in your source code and use them both. What it meant for us, it solved our problem with scalability. We start using Azure ML Studio resources in very agile, flexible way when we need, and we pay only for the time. So if you need to run 10 VMs as a part of your MLflow experiment, you run your code in Python, it will spin up the whole cluster for you of standalone VMs. When your experiment is over, in several minutes they are shut down, you stop paying. So for us it was silver bullet because it solved literally all our problems, and we started investigation and we started using it and gathering some problems. So again, what was important for us when we decided to stop by Azure ML Studio and don't explore any other tool? First of all, as I mentioned, we were already present in Azure. That means Azure Active Directory. Oops, yep. That suits us, and we don't need any authentication, authorization, auditing stuff. We just spin up new infrastructure there and use it. This is as a service. That means that personally I will have more time for development and my teammates as well. And again, we already had some code base prepared for MLflow. So for us, it required literally minimum changes to start using both of them. Problems that we met. Documentation says that you can connect your private servers to Azure ML cluster. So you can spin up their own or you can connect yours. In reality, it is not working. At least it was not working half of a year or 4 months ago. Support told us it will be planned. Documentation is slightly forehead the reality, but we have to wait. For us, it was acceptable because we decided to split concerns. We still have a lot of servers on-prem, and we use them for, let's say, local development to share across developers for daily routines like the sandboxes, and Azure Machine Learning Studio servers we use for long-running experiments as part of software development lifecycle before going to production. The second interesting problem was out of memory. We found that the images that Microsoft provided us are not very well prepared for huge data. So we ran some model with 20 GBs of RAM and VM crashed. So we spent several days of conversation with Microsoft support. They helped us a lot. As a result, we had small PR with one function in Python to enable overcommitting of memory resources, and it was fixed. Customized virtual machine images. By default, Azure Machine Learning provides you virtual machine with Python 3.6. That didn't make our developers happy. So we had to bake our own images with all dependencies, and that took some time to understand how to integrate from outside of Azure Machine Learning Studio. But luckily also we ended with several lines of code. You specify in configuration where to go in Azure Container Registry and grab pre-baked image. This is also possible for you. So actually you can run your own images in as a service tool. For us, it was also great. I think this problem is applicable to any cluster, any cloud provider today. So I work today with Google and Microsoft Cloud, the same problem. Overcommitted. Everyone moves to cloud. Usually this means lift and shift. Usually that means that developers don't have time to optimize the application. That means that, okay, we had 20 GBs RAM VM on-premise, let's reserve the same in the cloud. Especially when we talk about MLOps, that said we need GPUs. You can consider quotas. In our case, we pay a lot of attention to play secure game, and our customers know that we don't host anything but European regions. That limits us a bit in terms of quotas and resources. But I wouldn't say this is problem of Azure ML Studio, but in general, be prepared to think in advance if you go to cloud with machine learning, that you need to talk to your customer success manager in Microsoft and ask them for the most suitable regions for that. Probably your region in Skåne will fix that, who knows? But let's see. Yeah, Python versions and customized images. Yes, I repeated myself. Sorry for the font size. I wanted to put as much as I could. So this is example of function. Microsoft has very good documentation for work with Azure ML SDK. Actually, we have, you remember from the second slide, Python and Terraform. Terraform is used for infrastructure as a code, so you can spin up Azure ML Studio with only one resource in Terraform. Very simple. Configuration as a code, we don't use, let's say, Ansible or whatever. We use Python. They have all pre-baked SDKs, documentation, and you can configure your Azure ML Studio with Python. Our developers like it because it's the same SDK, the same Visual Studio Code, the same linters. They're happy. They're happy, I'm happy. You specify your cluster. By the way, another killer feature, you can spin up on in Azure ML Studio cluster resources, specifying your VNet. In our case, it is crucial because our data engineer pulls data from on-premise protected SQL servers to Azure ML and prepare data and training sets. If Azure ML Studio lacks this feature, we had to decline it. Now we run in protected mode. We have one VNet with a VPN tunnel to our on-premise clusters with the SQL servers, and it is run as a service by Microsoft. So, and that is how you start experiment. So the same code, just another function in our source code. One function to spin up cluster, second function to run experiment. That's all. Oh, it's real implementation of DevOps practices, I would say. You don't need anything. The same script trained Python we use locally on local computers by local developers or on our on-premise servers. So the core of our training is the same. You can just implement it and say, please run me on the scale set of VMs in Azure ML Studio. And it will track experiments and it will provide all data when experiments are over to MLflow. So this is the real example of open source product with all good features of clouds. Back into complex system. So I told you about how we run pipelines. This is Azure DevOps Services. Nothing fancy, just another image eventually. You know about Azure ML now, where we're using it as our compute power for MLflow, where we track and log our parameters, metrics, and finished models after they're finished here. This block, Airflow. So that works perfectly. But we went further. What should we do if we have new data. We don't want to track when we have new data. We just want to have this circle running without human intervention. As soon as we have new data, enough data, in our case, in natural language processing, that means, in our case, around 5 million new segment pairs. So when you have 5 million segments of language pair, we consider we can start running new training. We have scheduled every week check. It runs query against our database. It see if we have enough data. We have, okay, the same script that I showed you. You can run it locally. You can run it in on-premise resources or MLflow. You can also trigger it. It's Python code. We trigger it from Airflow. As soon as we have enough data to train, we trigger AML, and then with SDK every 12 hours, or let's say 12 hours, check if experiments is over. If it over and fails, we send notification to our Teams channel that something finished and failed. If it is finished successfully, we check some metrics of our model against production one, and if it's promising, we start Azure DevOps Services pipeline, roughly speaking. So Azure ML, both Azure ML and Azure DevOps Services, they have perfect SDKs, and Azure DevOps Services has REST API documentation perfect. You can trigger remotely from Airflow, and actually it works without human interaction ideally. Yes?
Could you tell us a little bit about Airflow? Myself, I know it's something with Apache.
Yes. Let's say this is scheduler on steroids. You have, let's call DAGs, direct, exactly, graphs, that you specify the flow, what to do, and schedules for stages, and it works for you, and you just add some logic in every step. So we run it as a service, but the idea is, first idea is scheduler on steroids, and the second is very hard to understand, like the onboarding time is very high that I see in my team. So everyone hates it when you start working. It is not like, it is user friendly, but it is very picky on friends, you know. But yes, so it's our scheduler with our logic, also written in Python, also provisioned by Terraform. Could you add something about Airflow?
You can write, for example, a simple bash script.
We are discussing Airflow.
But in Airflow, it's just more convenient. So you can view it as just like a scheduler of some regular multi-stage pipelines. Mainly used for data preprocessing, data loading, data analytics.
And it's a very used tool.
Yeah, I would say it's widely used, especially for data analytics, for CI/CD pipelines, for machine learning, where you have to regularly preprocess data. And for example, you might want to have different.
Can you put your microphone a bit closer?
Sure.
So keep it on your chin.
Like that?
Yes. No, on your chin, like this.
Like that? Sure, I'll try. For example, you try different data preprocessing approaches and you want to compare different models. Or for example, for one language pair, you want to try one preprocessing, and for different language pair, if you want to try different preprocessing. And the way, if you have a million Python scripts, it can easily become a mess. So Airflow is a good way to make it cleaner and easily automatable.
Real meetup, you see? It is not one man speaking. Yep, very, very soon. Last thing, I promised to share another tool from Microsoft. I really fall in love with that. It's Kida. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Super. Okay, now that means that we can switch to break. Now, I will just briefly show. So what we did, we wanted to scale our ML models, Kida SH. And basically Kubernetes provides you with scalars based on RAM or CPU, and basically that's all. And it was not our case because we had messaging queues and we want to scale based on that. So Georgia's tool is like very simple, integrated, reliable, event-driven autoscaler. It has a lot of integrations on the website, so you can see all cloud providers, all open source market players. You can scale all production loads based on those. For me, it was a lifesaver because we had a very complex business logic, and we use it on production for a long time, and it works as a charm. So if you haven't heard of that, please spend several minutes and definitely consider it for your infrastructure. They don't actually overlap because Istio is service mesh. Yes, we use it as a gateway, as a proxy layer, as some security layer for throttling, for other network layer stuff. This guy works for different purposes. So this is for scaling. But actually, Istio is not involved in scaling because when new pod is spun up, endpoints are added, and the Kubernetes service routes traffic, not Istio. But we use both, yes, on production, and I can say I'm glad. I worked with Linkerd and Istio. Personally, I like Istio more, but this is the matter of choice. But this, I even don't know competitors. It's so cool. Also made by Microsoft. Thanks for that. Questions we can start now or during the pause. Up to Michael to decide. What is our agenda? Q&A session there, here?
No, the Q&A session we will have after we eat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the online people. So we can say to the online people that we will resume after we eat it.
Okay. Thanks for having me here. Locking computer. Switching the mic.
Okay, then we're back after having a little bit of bite. We have some questions, and I'm gonna give it to Yegor. You're the one that have to answer it.
Yes, we have a question from Mikkel. Hi there. So, do you have any experience with inter-experiment dependencies? For example, Python models the data science can use in multiple experiments such as util package. Like this. Okay. Yes, so just to repeat myself, do we have in our project inter-experiment dependencies? Mikkel, unfortunately no, because our experiments are very granular and independent, let's say. We run specific language pair with a specific small goal, so we don't have such complex cases. Sorry.
I guess we had a lot of the discussions here. Hold on. We had a lot of discussions during our snack bite or food break. So I guess we're just gonna wrap up now. And if there's more discussions, we can have that. As a closing note, I would want to say that Azure Skåne, we have some upcoming meetups. So log into the meetup and join these. More information will come, but I guess most of the info is already up. And I've been saying it a lot. Join the Discord. We will post a lot of information there. If you wanna continue to keep in touch, this should be it. The social media, hashtag Azure Skåne. That's the one we try to use as much as possible. Again, this Discord invite is only valid for 7 days. So yeah, join there and sign up on the meetup. And then I would just want to say something, because this is a global AI back together thing that happens these 3 days. Now it's only 39 locations left. I think it's because we did ours. But there is one in Denmark. And it's yeah, on Thursday. And it's a colleague, so that has it. So please attend that one if you want. They have a good agenda. Unfortunately, the agenda is not on this site, but AI42, you can find that everywhere. That's the AI42 is the one that's hosting it. I know they're gonna be at Maersk, so you can attend that one. And yeah, thanks for today. See you next time.